All right, welcome to our live stream. So we're going to do some blues riffs, some blues jamming. So let's go ahead and let me just kind of show you what we're talking about here. So let's get a blues jam track going. So we're going to do blues in A. So we're going to have A7. I'm going to do a D7. And then we've got an E7, 5 chord, down back to the D7, the 4 chord. So that's the chords we're going to use. Okay, and I'm going to show you some different riffs that we're going to be able to use here too. And by the way, my name is Jordan. I'm a guitar instructor, and I also teach music theory as well. And this live stream is for everybody who wants to learn guitar or improve their skills. And these workshops are just for you guys. So anytime you have questions, be sure to put them in the chat. Let me know what's going on for you. Let me know what you want help with, what you want to work on, any questions you have about what we're going on during the live stream, during our workshop. And if you're watching this live stream as a replay, go ahead and put your questions in the comment section, and I'll look at them there and I'll address them in another live stream. Okay, so let's take a look at what we got going on here. Let's go ahead and pause this just for a minute. Stop our track here. So what we're going to do is we're going to use an A minor pentatonic. So in these live streams, we have people who can listen from all different playing abilities, whether you're like very beginner or where you've been playing a long time or somewhere in between. So I kind of try to adapt to different levels. So if there's stuff that's a little bit hard for you, just do it at a little bit more basic level that I'll try and show. And if it's too easy for you, go ahead and try out the little bit harder things that I try, but we're going to try and, kind of adapt to different levels. So we're going to start in A minor. So that means we're going to use the A minor pentatonic. And if you don't know how to play the A minor pentatonic, it's not too hard. So you're going to do pointer finger. So you got to do 1, 4. And we're going to do one octave at a time because I think it's good to learn in octaves. So an octave is just when you're going from one note to the same note, but like a higher version of it, you can think. So like here's an A. Here's another A. Here they sound the same, but one's low and one's high. So that's an octave. So when I say an octave, we're going to learn the scale between those two. And those octaves, that's on the 4 on the 5th fret on the 6th string. And the octave higher is 2 frets over and then 2 strings higher. So that's on the 4th string on the 7th fret. Those are those 2 A notes. So we can play a A minor pentatonic between those notes. And when you think of it as just one octave, instead of learning a whole shape, a lot of times we might, people might look at learning a whole shape all the way up and down. But I think it's easier to conceptualize and to learn it just as octaves one at a time. And then it seems like a lot less. So whenever things seem less and it's more simple, it's easier to learn. So let's do this octave. So you're going to go 1 finger, 4 finger. Then on the next string, 1 finger, 3 finger, 1 finger, 3 finger. So that's your pointer, pinky, pointer, ring, pointer, ring. So that's not too bad. It's got those 5 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then that's the octave, the same note that's a higher up version of that low note. So that's the minor pentatonic in that first octave. And then we'll just think of it now, let's think of it as the second octave. So now, those are the octaves. So now we're starting on this A, the one we ended up on. And now we're going to this A, which is that very first string. So same A that we ended on, and now you're going to the very first string on the 5th fret. So hear how those sound almost the same, but one's higher than the other. So this is the second octave. So now we're going to go. And that's the end, but we can just add this note that's 1 note higher, since it's already right there by our pinky. So if we're starting on that 4th string on the 7th fret, you have your 3rd finger, then the next string you go 1st finger, 3rd finger, then the next string, 1st finger, 4th finger, 1st finger to end the scale, but then we can just add that next higher note just since it's there. And then go back down, 4th finger, 1st finger, 4th finger, 1st finger, 3rd finger, 1st finger, 3rd finger. So now you have those 2 octaves. You have this one, okay, and then you have the second octave. And back down to the first octave. So instead of thinking of it as one shape, even though it's the same notes, if you think of it and learn it as two different octaves, it'll be easier to learn and then conceptualize as you're playing and as you're learning different songs. So let's go ahead and now let's learn the extensions. So this is called the E shape a lot of times, the E shape minor pentatonic. Or you can just think of it, we're playing in the 5th position because we're at the 5th fret. Or you can just think of it, this is an A minor, because this is from the A minor chord and it's an A minor scale. And then there's 2 extensions you can think of. So extension meaning just you add some extra notes. So instead of thinking like we're going to do a whole nother scale shape next to it, let's just use a few notes extended down that are commonly used and that sound really good, and then it's only a few extra notes. So if this was our shape, that first octave, here's some notes we can add below. So you just switch your position, pointer finger was here. Now let's use your ring finger on that same first note, and then you can have the pointer finger on the 3rd fret, and then ring finger, and then pointer finger or first finger on the 5th fret, and then ring finger or 3rd finger on the 5th fret. So we got 5th fret, 3rd fret, and then on the 2nd string, 3rd fret, 5th fret. So those notes are like a little extension to this scale, this octave. And so you can go from one extension, you can go from the extension back up to the scale shape. So you can try playing around with that. So that just gives you some extra notes to play with. And here, let's just look here. Okay. And then you can also have another extension. I think of it as an extension. It's the House of Blues, it's often called. So that goes after the 2nd octave. This is how you get up into it. Let's get a closer view up here so we can see a bit better what we're doing here. So if we go to that 2nd octave, right here, if you go up that scale shape, but then switch to your middle finger when you get to this note on the 7th fret, then slide that up to the 9th fret. So we were in this scale shape here, but we switched to the middle finger, slide up to the 9th fret. Now, starting here with your middle finger right here, this is what's called the House of Blues. And the reason they call it House of Blues is because it's used in blues music, and it makes the shape of a house. So if you were to kind of put all those notes down that I just played, you can kind of see like this is like the pointy part of the house, and this is the sides going down, and so you just imagine it's like the shape of a house right here. So you have this note on the 9th fret, 3rd string, then you go to your 1 finger on the 2nd string, and that's on the 8th fret, and then ring finger on the 10th fret, also on the 2nd string, and then 1 finger or the pointer on the 1st string, 8th fret, and then ring or 3rd finger on the 1st string, 10th fret. So you got back down. So that's a little extension, kind of higher up extension, because you can go back down, back into that lower, that higher octave. So here's that higher octave, and you can go up to this note, switch it to the middle finger, then you can slide right into this House of Blues up here. And so that slide up into the House of Blues is actually a really common riff. And going back down. So going between that House of Blues and back to that kind of that E shape, or that higher octave right there, that's not only a good way to transition between those two shapes to get some more notes, but that's also itself its own kind of riff. So you can try that for different ideas, okay? So now we got all these notes. We got this extension, Then we got these this first octave. We got this second octave. And then we got the slide up into the House of Blues. So even just those three parts, these two octaves, and then this extension down here, and then the House of Blues up here, that's already plenty of notes, really more than you need, actually, if you know how to just play with what you have. So a lot of the really good blues players, they could play all kinds of neat ideas, make really cool music just with a few notes. So that's one thing you want to try and get good at in blues, is playing just a few notes, but you really kind of milking those notes for all they're worth. So this will be more notes than you need. So you just want to memorize those shapes. Okay, and then once you have those shapes, let's look at some blues ideas using where the bends are. So where are good spots to do bends in these shapes. So in the second octave up here, so that octave, a good place to do a bend is on the third string. So right there. So if you want to do a full step bend, when you do that, and by the way, in this workshop, we're not going to look at bending technique. We've done that in other workshops and in some of my other videos on my channel. So if you don't know how to do string bends, go ahead and look at those videos or those workshops. But when you do this full step bend, we're bending up just like we did going into that House of Blues with the slide. Just a different way to get there. So that's why you can do that bend. That's why that bend works, because it's really just sliding up to that next part of the scale, going up the House of Blues. So that's a really good spot to do a bend. Full step bend, third string on that seventh fret. And then another good spot to do a full step bend is on the second string, full step bend, because when you're doing that, that's really just these two notes in the House of Blues. So you got this guy and that guy, and you're just going just to the House of Blues is what you're doing, but you're just doing it with slides. Okay, another good spot, first string on that 8th fret, also full step bend. And again, you can see you're just playing those notes from the House of Blues up here. Here, let's move this down a little bit, actually. So we're just doing that. So we got these three bends going into the House of Blues. So anytime you want to put a bend in your playing, try it in one of those spots. Those are really good spots. So if you're playing some riff ideas, right? So all I'm doing is playing notes from this second octave, this higher octave, and then using some of those three bends at different spots. That's the only place I'm bending, is those three spots. There's a lot you can do there just with even just those three bends. So we'll just kind of stick with that for now. So let's play with doing those bends along with slides up into the House of Blues. So we can bend into the House of Blues like we just did, and we can slide into it. Right? So if you can see what I'm doing, I'm just playing notes from this higher up octave and then sometimes sliding up into the House of Blues, and then sometimes I'm bending up into the House of Blues. So let's try a couple ideas just doing that. So we're going to try this one. Okay, I'll try that again. We only use one bend there. This bend on that third string, but then we're doing another common blues idea. You see it in all kinds of pop and rock music too, where you're adding the first and second string notes right after the bend. You're going bend, second, first string, bend, second, first string, bend, and then release the bend to play the note, and then play that note on the fifth fret. You got bend, note, note, bend, note, note, bend, note, note. So that's a little idea you can try. So let's try doing that in the backing track. Let's get the backing track going here. Okay, so we're just going to wait for it to come around back to the A, back to the 1 chord. So that's just that riff we were just doing. Then try it in again when it comes around on the next bar. So that's what's cool about blues. You can do a similar riff on the different chord changes. Sounds good. Okay, so we'll try that one more time. Then what we can do is just add a couple little fill notes kind of after that riff. So let's try that. Let's add a couple notes nearby. And add a couple of higher notes. So you just start with a basic idea, and add a couple ideas after that. Just in that same main idea. Just add a few notes after it, play around with it, okay? So that's one thing you can try out. So let's also look at, let's get back here. Okay, here. Okay, so that's one thing you can try. Let's try doing a little bit of sliding up. So now we're going to use that idea we used. And then we're just going to add the slide into the House of Blues. So all I did was that first idea we had, and then slide into the House of Blues and play the next 2 notes in the House of Blues. Pretty basic. Okay, so that's what we're going to try out. Let's get the backing track going. Let's give that see how that sounds. Okay, so we got the turnaround coming up here in just a minute, and then we'll get it around when you get the next when it comes around the next time. Okay, so we're about to start over on our blues. We just add that. That's our little add-on, sliding up into the House of Blues. Okay, try it again on the 5 chord. Okay, so now we're going to keep that going, but then we're going to add a few notes on the end again. See, all I did is just add those 2 higher notes, a couple higher notes from the House of Blues. Okay, so you see what I did in that last one. I'll add that here. That last one, instead of doing the higher up added notes, we just went back down the House of Blues again to add some lower notes. So we did, and then we just go back down. So basically, just the kind of, if you want to think of it like a formula, is you just think of your main idea that you're going to do, play that idea, and then add notes below and above after your idea. And you can add notes below just by playing right in the same octave shape, or you can add notes above by going up into the House of Blues, or by adding notes below by going down to the House of Blues. Okay? So let's just try that a little bit. So we're going to try that idea here. Now on this next one, we'll add the lower notes. So you just slid back down, house blues. Okay, so then these are just basic things you can try out. You can always add other ideas that we'll look at. We'll look at doing that too, kind of adding more spice and flavor and nuance. But for now, these are just the basic ways of doing it. So that was starting in the higher octave. Let's do some ideas where we start in this low octave. And then we're going to use some of this lower extension. So for that, here, let's get this here. So we got this octave here, just to remind ourselves. And then we got those notes there. You just want to get real comfortable playing this octave shape and then those lower extension notes. So you just know where they're all at and be able to go in between them. Okay, so if we had an idea there, we could do something like. Let's try that. So what we're doing is the higher note of the octave, and then we can add some notes from the lower extension. Okay, so let's try that out with the track. Okay, so it's coming up here. Right, so that's the basic idea. Now we're going to do the same thing. See, same idea, we just added a couple more notes below. So that's the thing. Just do the main idea, then add a couple lower notes. Main idea, then a couple lower notes. Okay, so that's another way you can do it. That's where you can add in that extension there. Okay, and then now let's try some ideas where we're going to start from the extension and then we'll go into that lower octave. Okay, so we're just going, basically just playing all the notes from that lower extension. And then sliding up into the octave shape. And then playing the next two higher notes up to the end of that octave shape. And it's nice when you go from this lower extension into the octave shape, it's nice to slide into it. So we'll do that. Then a little hammer-on the end. Okay, so let's try that out with the track. Grab that up here. Okay, so we'll try it out coming up here. Starting on the lower extension. Going right up, sliding up into that lower octave. So do that a couple more times. And then we're going to do it and going to add some extra notes. Same idea. We just took the basic idea of lower extension to the octave and then added a few notes. that one more time. Now we're going to add even a few extra notes. Yeah, I just added some from that higher octave. Just kind of play around with that. That same idea. Add in some higher notes. So you can do bends too, right? Remember that idea from before? That bend in those first two string notes. And this last time we're going to do all that and then go to the House of Blues. Put it all together. Extension, that lower octave, octave higher, the House of Blues. I'm going to add even a few more. We just went down the House of Blues again. So yeah, I hope you kind of get the idea where it's like you just start with basic things and you just build on it. And that's how you start to get creative and then improvise, is you have some basic starting points, basic building blocks, but then you learn how to build on it and you play around with building on it. So maybe you had that basic idea and then you did this guy. And then maybe you went one time, but maybe the next time you went. So you just tried some different notes. You still kind of went up the House of Blues, but then you went up to House of Blues and did some different notes. So you just make little variations on that, kind of experiment and play around with it. Okay, so then let's look at another way you can improvise. And then we'll just look at this real quick because we're almost out of time here. But this is just changing the rhythm. This is another really good way to make it sound new and fresh and get all kinds of different ideas just by changing the rhythm. So let's do a basic idea. So maybe if we did a... So if that's our first rhythm, you can change the rhythm. So this is the rhythm. Da, 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 da. What if we change it to... So I just kind of hung out on that last note. So instead of... I went... So you just play around with making the simple way of thinking of it is make some notes longer and other notes shorter. Change the length of just a few notes. Not all the notes, just a couple. So if our first idea is like a... This note here, let's make that note be the note we change how long it is. See how we changed that one? We made that one longer, so instead of that note, we're going to make it longer. And just those little things, take one note, make it longer. Or think of taking another note and make it shorter. So maybe instead of... Maybe we can make this note, let's see. That one's a note, this note's a little bit long already. Da, 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 da. So let's make this one, da, let's make that shorter. So instead of... We're going to make it short. And And you notice what happens is when you make some notes short, the other notes have to get longer and to kind of make up for it. So if this is short, then some other notes got to get long. So you just play around with playing your basic idea, but then make some of it long, some of it short. So let's just look at that real quick here with the track. Okay, so we'll try that idea. So there's our basic idea. But now we're going to take some notes, make them longer. See those last few kind of stretched out a bit? Same notes. We just kind of stretch them out a little bit. And so just get a little idea and then just play around with those things, with adding notes above and below it, going into the house of blues, out of the house of blues, going down to that lower extension, back up, and then playing with the rhythm. And if you just try experimenting with all those different things, then you're going to be able to have all kinds of different ways to experiment and improvise and solo on your blues. All right, so I hope that's helpful to you guys. If this video was helpful to you, go ahead and hit the like button. I'm available for one-on-one lessons. You can hit the link to sign up for a free lesson so we can do a consultation and see what you want to work on. If there's anything you want support with or anything you want to learn, I'd be happy to help you out with that. And I hope you guys have a fun time, and we'll see you at our next live stream.